Hi, friends. I'm so excited to introduce you to my next guest, Tiensirin. But before I read her bio, I just wanted to share a funny story. I was at the beach with my friend Amy in Rockaway, New York, one of my favorite beaches of all time in Queens, New York, actually. And we were doing a meditation to connect to the ocean. It was one of those days where it was the perfect day to do that kind of meditation. I forgot exactly the planetary movements in the sky, but it had something to do with Neptune, Mercury in Pisces. But also, caveat, I was also microdosing on some mushrooms. So I was definitely tapping into some other heightened levels of dimension and time and space. But we were both transported back to a time in Lemuria, which then we started talking about Akashic Records, and Amy had her Akashic Records opened by Tiensirin, who is our next guest. And she recommended that I interview her for the podcast because she's also an Asian woman. And this is such an interesting topic for me specifically because I was initiated into the Akashic Records in 2020, and I opened up my own records and I open up records with my clients, but I don't necessarily talk about it because there has been some just like weird new agey stuff that is going on, on social media and just things that it didn't resonate with when people were saying like this is from the Akashic Records. So it was really exciting to me to speak to Tian Sarin, who does this kind of work, and she's read over 1,000 records. So that's kind of the background story of how I got to know Tiensirin. And of course, in true Laura Chung fashion, I I DM'd her. I slid into those DMs and I was like, hey, you don't know me, but do you want to be a guest on my podcast? And I'm really lucky that way. People say yes more often than they say no. And here she is. And we finally got to speak. And you're going to really love this episode because she gives so many of her personal life examples. She talks about memories from her past lives and how those past lives have helped her in this lifetime and her journey as a healer and mystic in this lifetime. She talks a lot about her background and how she came to her gifts and just really, really cool stuff. So let me read you her bio just so you get a little idea of who she is. Tien Sarin is an advanced certified Akashic Records practitioner and healer. She has completed 5 certification courses at the Dr. Linda Howe Center for Akashic Studies. She is a second generation intuitive who inherited her abilities from her father, who is also an empath and a medium. Growing up in Thailand, spirituality and healing practices were a major part of her upbringing. What she loves most about her work in the Akashic Records is the ability to assist her clients at a soul level. She seeks to help them find deeper clarity and insight within their current challenges and also assist them to move forward with more power and confidence in their life's calling. She helps her clients to see themselves clearly from multiple timelines without judgment, only unconditional love. She uses several types of quantum healing modalities to assist clients to travel alongside her into their own Akashic records to heal and shift frequencies within it in order to bring about liberation and activation of the highest possible realities from many lifetimes into the current timeline. Tien Sarin specializes in the areas of past lives, relationships, and business. She has read for nearly 1,000 Akashic records for her clients, both domestically and internationally. Her clients range from anywhere from artists, recording artists, healers, nonprofit organization executives, actors, television showrunners, publicists, music festival producers, to fashion designers, to entrepreneurs. Besides her work in Akashic Records, Tien Sarin is also an award-winning photographer with extensive knowledge in entertainment marketing and photo publicity for various movie and television studios and networks. She is passionate about empowering the creatives and artists to inspire others in the world. Oh my goodness. Without further ado, here is Tiensirin. Welcome to Awaken and Align, Tiensirin.
Well, it's an honor to be here. So nice to, meeting you and get to see you on this lovely Zoom call.
Yes. I have so many questions, so let's just get right into it. For those of us who don't know what Akashic Records are, what are they?
Okay, well, even to explain it in the most layman term possible, it is just imagine it's a giant computer, a cosmic computer that had a collection of all your soul story without judgment. Just, the part of you that you're proud of, the part of you that you're not so proud of in all of the lifetimes and dimension, and it just had the information of it that we had an opportunity that we get to access to it through it in order to find some kind of clarity and also grace in it all of the things that we proud of, all the things that we're not proud of all the different lifetimes, and we can bring it into reality of today.
Mm. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to the Akashic Records, or were you always just like aware that they were there?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But as a child, I always been someone who is in my own little world in a way. I feel people energy very deeply, and I feel the energy of people, environment. There are times that I go to places that it just give me a little uncomfortable feeling. And there are times that I can hear people thoughts and intentions, and looking back, it's explained a lot why I was such a moody child, because I feel so much constantly. And I think what really shifted for me that fight give me a solace was when in my teen years, like all of the teenagers, we little dazed and confused, we not quite a child yet, but we also growing to adulthood. So I was fighting my way through my own mysticism. So I stumbled upon a tarot deck, and that was kind of started my mystic journey. I started to study tarot, I study numerology and astrology. And at that point, it was just more of a, not so much of thinking, oh, this is going to be my dream job or career goal, anything, was just a little teenage girl, confused teenage girl trying to find a way to make sense of the world, make sense of who I am, make sense of others around you. And that was how I started my journey.
Hmm.
And Akashic record doesn't come until much, much later.
Hmm. And do you mind me asking, like, did you find a teacher? I know you studied under Dr. Linda Howe, but like, what was the catalyst in you finding the Akashic Records?
Oh, it's well, I find this to be common theme for a lot of people when we do kind of, and I love your podcast name, Awaken and Align. It was the part of time in my life that there was just a lot of chaos. It was around maybe after 2012, I going through some really bizarre health thing where I kind of asked the universe, like, you know what? I'm ready. I'm ready to step into my intuitive gifts again. And this is for those who maybe a lot of people call it ascension symptom.
Hmm.
I started to have a lot of health issues. I had vertigo. I had vertigo and ringing in the ears, and it wasn't alive quite then, but now it's good now. But eventually during that time when I was having health scare, I have some kind of discrimination at work for being not born and raised here, and my English is not my first language.
Hmm.
And I just left a marriage that was quite abusive. So I was I was going through a part of myself that I shed the old me, the thing that it was holding on and all the thing that coming. So I was just seeking answer. And then a friend of mine, my neighbor, was just really serendipitously. She's like, I know that you have been really getting into this woo-woo thing. And there's a store nearby us that called Liberated Emporium that, you might want to check it out. They have tarot deck, they have crystal, they have sage and all those things. So I went online and I looked up online looking for what they had to offer. And one of the things at the event section is say, learn how to read Akashic Records. And at the time, I didn't even know how to pronounce Akashic Records. Something in me that say, learn how to do that. Just out of curiosity, really. And I think a lot of things in my life, and to go to other listener, oftentimes we like to do things that is very quite masculine, like you must have to decide things that logically it has to make sense. You have to weigh out pros and cons. And I honor that. I think there is validity in that. But a lot of time, things that will change your life are the things that only make sense to you. And to go do that. And that was one of the things that it makes sense to me in my gut that I ought to do this. So I signed up, and I remember I was maybe like 15 minutes late because I was driving from Culver City to come, and I was almost didn't go in. There was part of me that just like, this is scary. And I think part of me now that looking back, I feel that it was a part of me that noticed it's going to change my life forever. And I literally, I already paid for it. I almost get into the car and leave. And then someone in the store saw me and said, hey, I paid for the class. I was like, and then ever since then, it was a history. I learned from beginning, healing in Akashic Record, advance in Akashic Record, finding your soul path in Akashic Record, and manifestation in Akashic Record. So my teacher, I have two teachers. I have Helen von der Heide, which is my majority of a teacher and a dear friend. And I also study under Dr. Linda Howe herself when she flew out here in LA. So I had an opportunity to study with them in person and train with them for like years. And it had been very life-changing. I started just for me. And it's what really powerful about it for me is that it helped me to see the universe and God differently. I grew up Buddhist and also had a training in biblical study. I did the Christian thing for a while. I had minor in biblical study, actually, have you know. So it's really changed my worldview about who God is and God is about, and it's by Akashic Record to be such a profound source to see that we are powerful co-creator of the divine. We are not just this we thing that beg for forgiveness and beg for mercy, or we had to be avoidant of our emotion and desire. All of it is spiritual. All of it is powerful. And it has been such an empowering journey to explore Akashic Records with myself and also clients. And it's so beautiful. I probably have read for over 1,000 Akashic Records now, and to see the people's souls bravery, as I call it. Every time we come here, we show the parents that are not the easiest, but those are people that has gone through sexual abuse. I went through that myself, and through that to find power within, to find salvation within, and liberation not only for self and those around. So it's been really a powerful experience to explore people's soul journey and why they're here, what their past life were like, and to see the correlation of the gifts that they have now. It's been really, really
cool. Do you mind sharing your findings and what God means?
I find that that God is interested in the long game, and as our soul is also interested in the long game. We as a soul or just growing up in this world, we constantly wanting the kind of quick bliss. Ooh, what does this feel good now? And little and discomfort that comes, we find a ways. The way the matrix train us is that, you know, it's about rewards to punishment. You know, like if it's feel good, it's a reward. You must send something good. Like, you know, you go to Santa and say, oh, you know, if you're good, you get a gift from Santa. If you're bad and naughty, you don't get anything, you get a cold. But a lot of time I find that in order for you to experience bliss, sometimes there are certain initiation that you have to gone through. And it's not a way that I don't see that it's God punishing us, but I think it's a soul contract that we have within ourselves, that we want to liberate ourselves, and certain liberation takes certain courage and takes certain discomfort for you to make a choice to do something different. I'll give you an example. In my own life, I had a past life with someone that it was, let's just say that in that past life, it did not go well. There was a lot of blood and death. And there was also part of my soul that was married to that person in that lifetime because I betray my own heart. I was like, you know what? I have to do this for my own obligation. I want to keep my family safe. Although I have someone that I really love, I want to marry him because he's powerful, and I don't want him to, you know, bestow wrath upon my family. So in a way, I sacrificed myself and my own heart, and I did not believe that something could have worked out for me if I don't sacrifice myself in that way. And it's end up not really quite that well. Let's just say that there was a lot of death and blood involved. In this lifetime, I meet him again, and he was my ex-husband. And looking back into it, my soul chose him again in this lifetime to choose to liberate myself, choose to be like, you know what, you no longer can talk to me that way. You no longer can talk to me like how you talked to me in my past life. Now I'm going to bring my power back to me and leave you. And sometimes our soul had to go through that journey to break the tie, to heal ourselves and bring our power back to us. Same as our parents. There are times that we have to come to connect with them in order to find not only healing in it, but also with parents is interesting because sometimes, you know, as an Asian woman, to questioning our parents or to even think that they've done anything wrong is like you from like you naughty child. But sometimes we can learn a lot from each other. We can grow from each other. And I think this is go to for everyone that have parents that growing up difficult, is that it's important to give grace to our parents. And that can be a tough thing because we have certain ideal in our head, or we compare ourselves to others. Oh, you know, that's the family that I want. I wish that they are more affectionate. I wish that they talk to me nicer in this way. But in a Akashic Record perspective, and talking about the expansive of human soul and going through all the things that we don't even know about what they're going through in other lifetimes, we did the best we could in the condition that we in. And when we can give grace to ourselves and to them, that's where something shift. That's something that can shift, you know, and not to say that avoiding your feeling, and that's nothing to do with grace. Grace is really know that they're not perfect, but also trust that they did the best they could. Even their best is horrible. No one come into this world and wake up in the morning and say, I'm gonna do the shittest thing I could. We may self-sabotage, we may be afraid, but that because there are other things that need to be healed and to, you know, reconcile. But we, all of us, did the best we could. And I find that the best way to move forward in life is to give yourself grace. And in this way, you not end up like beating yourself down as you're trying to move forward. So.
So I think what you're trying to say is we come here to grow our souls, and
Absolutely.
how we choose to do that is really like sometimes we don't even understand, and we don't like our human like self, right? We're like, what? This is the plan? This is what I chose for myself? But beyond that, like, what is the purpose of being here?
Hmm.
Like, why do we come here so many times? Or not?
I mean, it's a big questions, but I think one of the things that it could offer is that a part of it is to evolve our soul, is to
Mhm,
become more liberated, to become more free, to become more loving. But also, I think there is a because everything is it is not just you; it's also connect to others too. Because as you are healing, your generation is also healed. As you are healing, the next generation that come after you can also have a better lives and better
mhm,
perspective. So it is really come to me, it's like to heal your own karma, because karma belong to self. There's other people may come to kind of almost activate certain karma between each other, but karma really belongs to yourself. How you feel about yourself, how you see yourself, what way that you have betrayed yourself and your honor, and how to restore that. So karma really belongs to self. So I think it is, yes, to expand our soul, yes, also to father how we can grow the collective and change the world. So it's all of it. And then there's a multi-dimensional thing that cannot even explain beyond just this
mhm,
world, that the energy of other dimension, other
mhm.
energy of other universe, that as we changing, as we changing here, we changing other
Everywhere. Yeah.
everywhere, exactly. So and the same way as if we can go to make peace with ourselves in our past life, and when I'm talking past life, I'm not talking only past life in the ancient Egyptian time. We're talking even past life as a child. The thing is, I would tell my client is that you may not be able to change things historically of what happened for you, and I'll say to you for you, but you can change how you feel about. So, for
Mhm,
example, I give you one example of my life where I was, sexual take advantage of as a child by my neighbor. And for the longest time, being in a, Christian environment, virginity is a big thing.
mhm,
Like your virginity is everything. And it's add more guilt and shame around sex and sexual exploration. And there are things that children do that just simply explorative because we are sexual beings. And I remember one of my kind of trance shamanism, I go back in time and connect to that person that was, that we had the thing. And then I just told him, like, nope. I say no. I like give the power back to my inner child and say, no, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this. And that I found a lot of healing in that, to be able to basically change the reality multidimensionally. You
mhm,
can do it the same with past life. I had a past life where I was, as a mystic, I was stuck in a cave. Although I didn't, my life was spared, but I got stuck in the cave instead. I don't know what better. But so I got stuck there, and I remember maybe 3 or 4 years into my practice as a Akashic record reader, I start to develop unexplainable anxiety every time I hop on a session with client. I'm like, it's just like literally life and death anxiety. And I asked in the record, I'm like, what is it? It's like, oh, it came from that lifetime. So I
uh,
did the same thing. I do a kind of travel meditation back into that timeline. And instead of choosing to kill myself, I chose to stay alive and became a wise sage.
mhm,
And just accept my life from a place of empowerment and trust in the universe, and the anxiety went away.
mm,
So when, because we are a soul that in a different body in a different timeline, but the soul is essentially the same. And you study Akashic record, there are soul blueprints where it's like the core of who you are. And then there is a chronicle of your soul. This is where you get to be expressive and creative and shift and change how the story gonna go. But that's a core of who you are. Like I have the core of a mystic. That doesn't matter in what lifetime. Sometimes I might be a priestess, sometimes I might be a witch, sometimes I might work in a brothel, but I a sex priestess in some way. So it's a different story in different timeline. And you can shift and change it, because I believe that we live multiple lifetime in this now moment. And what's really cool is that when you get to meet certain people in your life, you get to activate certain lifetime with that person. So it's really interesting. A certain lifetime might just
Oh, getting chills.
no, right? You become a certain guy you meet, a certain girl you meet, there's certain people that activate certain part of you because you have kind of a soul connection in other lifetimes. So I think
Totally.
really cool about this whole Akashic Records and how we live multidimensionally in right now.
Yeah, so the my friend who introduced me to you, Amy. Hi Amy, if you're listening.
Hi, Amy.
She and I had a past life together in Lemuria and
Ah,
we didn't even really know that obviously, and it's really hard to like tell people who first don't believe in past lives, second like Lemuria, come on.
yeah,
But we have like similar visions when we
yeah,
like meditate and like yeah, it's like I believe it obviously because I'm in this realm, but it's really interesting what you just said about like you meet people in this lifetime who activate that part of you. Um, so that brings me to the question of like, where are the Akashic records? Are they like in the 5D or like above? And can anybody access it?
yes.
Yeah.
Everyone can access it. Absolutely. I believe that we all, as human beings, you and I, I had training, you had training, but other people access Akashic record all the time and they just don't know it.
Hmm.
Like when people in a meditative stage, like let's say that even something as simple as when you're in a shower and you relax, when you're having fun and dancing with your friend, when you're driving to work, because when you're driving, especially on the path that is kind of the same, you're in a hypnotic state, and that's when you start to like access certain information or certain thing. People do it all the time, or even something as simple as the desire to be something, the desire to want to become someone or a certain country that draw you to, that you like, oh, I really want to go to that country. That is you already accessing a like kind of iceberg of that your own
Hmm.
Akashic record. Because Akashic record essentially is a record of your soul. You
Hmm.
had authority and a way to access it. Do I think it's in 5D or 4D or 20,000D? I'm the person that I don't like to put name on thing, because
Yeah.
I think it's important to put name on certain thing, and a certain thing I feel like when you put on it, it put limitation and
Hmm.
certain weird expectation into it. In a spiritual, especially in a spiritual community, I find that there is a lot of kind of and I'm gonna
Distortion.
yeah, a lot of distortion and a lot of the thing that we try to run away from, and we end up doing it again in a different cloak. For
Hmm.
example, like people tend to have like, you have to eat this way, you have to talk this way, you have to wear certain thing this way, and it's in this kind of this new agey spiritualist thing. But to look back is very similar to back into the time in the ancient time of like Catholicism. Let's say you cannot say this is what you have to obey, this is what you have to do. I feel I encourage people in the spiritual community that we are in now to look at the universe and God differently, to no longer feel that you have to eat certain thing to be spiritual, you have to be certain way to spiritual, and live in the energy of freedom and abundance. So now I'm like going off on tangent. What was
You
your
could,
question?
no, you could go, well, just because since everybody has access to the Akashic Records, and sometimes I watch videos of people online, and I'm always like, what are they actually tapping into? Because it could be open to interpretation sometimes. Well, I guess my question is it open to interpretation? Because sometimes I'm like, are they are they channeling from the Akashic records, or is it more their fears being projected onto other people? You know, like
Yep.
anybody could be like, I'm an Akashic records reader and I'm telling you the message that, X, Y, and Z.
Right. To me, as an Akashic record reader, I feel that, well, let me think about this. There are two things to this. We talked about this early on before we hop on the call, is that there's kind of a general energy, a general truth for all that everyone can access to. But then there are also Akashic record is also there are part of it that is also for your particular soul group. And you, the one who had the access to it, had made a soul contract with certain groups of people that you can share and access the messages to. There also another layer of your Akashic records is that it's your own personal journey experience. And this is where it gets tricky because you, as a channeler, you ought to be responsible and tap into, is this for me to know or is it for others to know?
Mm-hmm.
Like there are times that I feel that some may have not work out certain thing within themselves yet and share certain frequency that they have not transmute. Do I think that there are certain like kind of uncomfortable frequency in Akashic records? Yes, of course. There are information there that is, because Akashic record has no judgment. It doesn't matter is love and light or is, like bloody and scary. It's just collecting all information. And I think it's depend on who channeling it, who resonate with it. I also believe in this though, even those that you may feel that they're channeling something that seem to be kind of darker frequency or they're projecting their fear onto it. I believe that within that, there are certain soul group that they may contract with each other that just love that message and all
Mm-hmm.
about it. And when it's not resonating with you, you just say thank you, and then you just find your soul group somewhere else. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's because we are all here to learn from each other. We are all here to in some way challenging each other point of view, and I just think that it just is all good and okay. But I also believe also that as a practitioner, it is important for you to get out of your own way and channel what is needed for the collective.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there are things there are things that been channeled out there that I would say that I disagree with because it's not empowering,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not about love and light, because if people do work with me, we go deep to like some really uncomfortable truth, but it's about in what way that we don't, because it's important to like it's great to like talk about like difficult dark thing that may come in the future or whatever, but does it come from a place of empowerment, or does it come from like they are coming to get us and we are the victim of this? Oh my god, this being is corrupting the society and all this thing. And I'm saying like, sure, maybe, but what you're gonna do about it? What you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna do about it to change the frequency? What you're gonna do about it to empowering people around you,
Mm-hmm.
instead just be fear mongering and keep people in the victim mentality? Because even in a spiritual community, there's a lot of feeding of victim
Mm-hmm.
mentality that in it that drive me absolutely bonkers. So
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so that would be just my share on that.
Thank you for that. And it's because I understand the Akashic Records as moving beyond space and time. Like time is infinite, right? So somebody can be tapping into a record that's in the future. And
Mm-hmm.
so all possibilities exist, right?
Sure.
And so it is possible that they are channeling a future timeline that could happen. But if we all focus on that and we're focusing on what could go wrong, then don't we like kind of manifest that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because in Akashic record, there's a future possibility, but most of the time, Akashic record is collecting the now frequency and
Mm-hmm.
the past. And
Mm-hmm.
then we are the one who had the power to be co-creator of the divine and shift the future,
Mm-hmm.
shift the energy. There's a possibility. I mean, there's the let's say there are certain probability of something that could be. Let's say that you're eating donut every day and you don't exercise. There's a high probability that you're gonna gain weight. But the thing is, what you have the power to change
Mm-hmm.
it. So, like, let's say that we live in the society that have been patriarchal, the society that have been oppressing the people that are of color, and all of this thing. Or if people can even go into if people can go into the alien race and
Mm-hmm.
oppressing, and they like in the government and all of that. Let's say it's all true. Let's say that is all true. What we gonna do about it? Are we
Mm-hmm.
just gonna sit here and just be like, oh, we are the victim, the system is oppress us? Or we gonna stay in our own power and create? Not like, yes, I believe in activism. I believe in speaking out loud. And I believe in all of that. But even in that, it's still relying upon whether they're gonna do right by us.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, do activism, but also create something.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you like say, we want this, we need to fight for this, and those are great. But what if whatever we fight against and for never respond in the way that we wanted to, then what? We screwed? No. We can be activist, we can believe in activism, but we also have to create something else that's supporting what can existing in the community that we can.
Mm-hmm.
So and even by with doing what you do, doing what I do to empower people, each and individual, I believe that everyone is like its own crystalline, as a Lumerian person that you are. We are all crystalline energy, and if individual is activated in their full power, it's become this like bigger connection of people that connected in their full power, and things will shift in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So but yeah.
I have a wild theory. I think there are some people, and I feel like I'm in one of these camps, that we are coming from the future in this timeline to help, because we know what the future could be like, and we don't want to be on that timeline. I watch way too much like Fringe and stuff on TV, so excuse me, but I feel like we came back from the future timeline to this one because we knew that this was important.
Yeah. Or we can look at it as future timeline, or we can look at it as, how the society or the school teaching us that we come from the caveman age and we evolve into this evolution. What if in some way we regressing? In what way? What if the ancient timeline, the ancient Egypt, ancient Sumerian, ancient Atlantic had higher technology, and we gone through some kind of digression?
Mm-hmm.
Are now tapping into the timeline that we are in a higher frequency, and we are activating within ourselves and bringing it in.
Yeah, okay, so that was another thought I had too. These ancient cultures
Yeah.
advanced so much in their technology that they were their own undoing. And
Mm-hmm.
even like people always are, they fantasize, and there's still this like mystery about this like Atlantis and Lemuria and these cities that are lost. But I feel like we're witnessing in real time like Pakistan is underwater, you know? Like I feel like some of these cities are going underwater now. So what you're saying is it's possible that we're degressing.
Um, yeah, I think we degressing and we also progressing at the same time. We also reliving some of those experiences in our timeline. And I love what you said about how certain ancient society collapse. And that's something that I also see that now. I just feel that that's a responsibility in progress. And a lot of time, a lot of society we see throughout all the history, whether ancient Mesopotamian or ancient Rome, ancient Atlantis, is collapses is not because of the progress. It's a progress without responsibility. Just
Hmm.
progress for the price of progress, or produce for the sake of producing. I think it's important more than ever in everything we do is to connect to the Gaia, connect to the gods, and to see our own mythicism, to see that if this is honoring, if it's in the right alignment of what it needs to be, because we have been trained for so long that we need to produce, and do, and we lean so much in the yang energy that we not lean into the yin energy, the energy of connectedness with self and the
Hmm.
universe and Gaia, and pay respect. I read I read for a client of mine who had a powerful life in ancient Atlantis, and in ancient Atlantis there's a place. The thing is, all the thing that I'm saying here now is a thing that I literally just channel from reading people Akashic record. I have not read a book about what other people think what Atlantis is. I just literally just do what I see. And there's a place in Atlantis that's called Island of Gaia, where people actually go there and connect to the different plants and different animal, different thing that is existing. And his job was to tend to it, to take care of. And then when Atlantis was falling, it was because of the advancement without responsibility, advancement for the sake of like, I want to connect to, like the galactic without seeing whether or not it can sustain. That's where things collapse. And that's where people move to ancient Egypt, take
Hmm.
on that technology to ancient Egypt. But what I'm saying is that even in the collapses, human soul is so evolutionary that life will go on, life will
Hmm.
carry on. But I think we also come here to learn to have respect for others, respect for ourselves, and be able to create things sustainably without kind of just for the sake of doing. So
Hmm.
with intention and love to it.
Hmm. And right relation with the people and the plants and the earth and each other. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Not just treat plant as just
Mm.
plant, not treat animal just thing to eat and slaughter, but
Mm.
with respect and reverence and thankfulness,
Mm.
So,
Just out of curiosity, when you open the Akashic records for a client or like yourself, do you see like what do you see? Do you see or do you feel like what is that experience like for you?
it's fun. I mean, for those who think about exploring in Akashic records, it can be progress. At first, I'm naturally very auditorial. I hear things. I literally hear. Like
Mm.
growing up is a little weird. I'm like, am I schizo? But I hear and I see. So those are
Mhm.
the two things. And then as I develop deeper into what I do now, I literally ask my guys, it's like, you know what, I want to become more clairsentient where I can feel it in my body. So I would say that majority I see and I hear. And yeah, I mean those are the two things. And then for those who consider doing this and just learning about this, just know that we have fun with it. Don't have any expectation, because a lot of people in our intuitive development, the thing that stop people the most in their growth is that expectation, their
Mm.
ideal of what it's supposed to look and feel like, and you compare yourself to other. Oh my God, she can hear this, she can do this. No, girl, do your own thing and have fun with it. I remember in the beginning of my reading, learning how to do Akashic record, I started to free writing. I
Mhm.
just start to writing it out because it's just grounding the energy down. Sometimes if I need confirmation, I don't use it as much anymore, but I would use oracle card to kind of confirming what I need to know. Sometimes I use pendulum. So basically use all the tools, have fun. And sometimes I open a Akashic record, I'm taking a shower. You know, see, it doesn't have to be this ashram. You have to wear all white and say, oh,
Yeah.
we have evolved beyond that. While I think those time is serving its purpose, I'm not saying it as a disregard. I just see it as a evolution, and it's important to be in the frequency that we at. And the frequency that we at is ability to be our own individual light. We're moving into the age of Aquarius, which is all
Mhm.
about innovation, about individualism, and also about community
Mhm.
connection of like what can I bring to the table? What can you bring to the table and create something new together?
Mhm. That's what I love about your Instagram is because I'm also an astrologer as well, and you give readings based on like the moon cycles and the astrology in the sky. Can you talk more about that? Like, what led you to do that?
I do love astrology. I studied it when I was younger, and I just find it to be fascinating. I have a lot of astrologer friends, and we just end up talking about what I get from Akashic records, what they see in
Hmm.
astrology, and it just seemed to align. And the thing is, there's a universal truth. Doesn't matter what modality it is, the energy frequency. So I enjoy it. I enjoy the mechanical of astrology, how each planet has its own energy and resources, and how it's moved through different transit and energy, and it changes things. It just, to me, it's just like a beautiful cosmic jigsaw puzzle.
Hmm.
And I just enjoy that, and it seemed to kind of give me kind of a guidance of how to be in kind of cosmic weather. So
Hmm.
just kind of almost like I use it as in the past, like when I was younger, it seems like, oh my God, this is end all be all of my life. But now I enjoy the transit. I use transit a lot to navigate life, not as a direction, but more like I see it as kind of, oh, it's gonna be rainy today, so I'm gonna
Hmm.
bring an umbrella so it can still do my thing. So it's the same
Hmm.
way with astrology. I look at it as a guide for empowerment, as
Hmm.
a in terms of it's not a limitation. It's like, okay, this is something I'm really good at, and this is something that I interested in explore and expand more, and just use it as a tool in that way.
Hmm.
So yeah, I feel like, and that's go along with our esoteric thing, is that it should be a definition for you to empower yourself, rather than the thing that's like, oh my God, I'm cursed, I'm stuck this with Saturn, my screwed for the rest of my life. No, it can be the very that make you someone who people trust and
Hmm.
reliable. Just how you
Yeah.
look at it.
Exactly. I also think astrology is helpful as humans, for me anyway. It helps me to like ground it down into like a specific area of my life, you know? Because sometimes like these esoteric things can be so like nebulous. like sometimes when I read my own Akashic records, I'm like, I need like step-by-step action. I'm a human.
You can ask them for step-by-step action.
Yeah.
The Akashic record. You can. You have to ask them for it.
Okay, maybe I didn't ask. I need like I'm a human being. I need step-by-step action.
Mhm.
Um,
And they
but
can. And sometimes it's a little too much when you ask them for it. It's like, oh shit. Um, because the one of my teacher, Preston Smile, talk about how There's one energy source, and the universe is on a frequency that you're in and you're ready for. So if you want it, if you have a perception that Akashic record is this fluffy thing, which is true, it's very airy, it's very expansive, they're multi-dimensional. But if you want direction, oh, they can, but you have to ask for it.
Okay.
So you have, I want this, and oh, they will give it to you, and you're like, oh, now I have to do it. But yes, but I agree with you also, though, with what I love. What I love about astrology is that it had a nice mechanical, mathematical container that is
Mm-hmm.
like, it's like click, 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 click,
Yes, yes.
and that is very comforting and
It's
very,
very comforting.
as someone who had 4 planets in Pisces, I have
Mhm.
Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Venus in Pisces in 10th house.
Whoa.
No, I do love astrology to kind of just bring it all down, sustainable mechanical feeling
Mhm.
for
So you're a Gemini rising?
Gemini rising.
Gemini
Yeah,
rising and Pisces moon and sun. Wow.
I see Moon, Sun, Venus. Yeah,
Wow.
Venus,
Wow.
Mercury in Pisces, and Gemini rising as an ascendant, and had Jupiter sitting there,
Hmm.
like just
Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense with what you do.
right. Is it
Yeah, it really does.
love it? And then all the Pisces stuff is in my 10th house. So yeah.
Yes, makes total sense.
See, I love it. See, this is what I love about astrology. All of a sudden, like, oh yeah, that makes
Oh yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
sense.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Um, so you've read for, you said like almost over 1,000 clients, and some of your clients are artists, recording artists, healers, nonprofit organization executives, actors. I wish you could tell us which ones, but uh, publicists, fashion designers. So what is like the number one, because obviously there must be common themes, right? Like what is a common theme that the Akashic records say about everyone's journeys? Or
Beautiful.
it doesn't have to be just one. You could say like two or three.
Of course. One of the main thing is that the source of magnetism and the power is within you. It's literally like a click of a switch. Like I give you an example of actors who go on audition. Instead of going in with the energy of like, oh gosh, I must land this thing, I must land this thing to evolve in my evolution as an actor, and I must beg them to pick me. It's like, no, that energy. Go with the energy that I think this was I love about doing Akashic record is that I learned something new too, to go into the energy that you are a powerful alchemizer of energy and emotion. So you go in with the energy of magician, you go energy of the priestess, you go in the energy of this like, I know what I got. You go on that stage, you perform, you do your thing, you do your channeling of the energy thing. And if it's right for you, if it's in alignment for you and this person, you have a soul group and soul contract with them, it will click. Don't go in the energy of a baker. Don't go in the energy of like lack. Go in the energy of your power. Because
Mhm.
I find that actor and actresses had an enormous power within them. Like when you watch a movie, I'm a big movie television fan. I love theater. I love all the thing because when I watching it, is A, it can activate other power within you from all of the lifetime and dimension. B, it's also beautiful to see another person on the screen relating to certain feeling that
Mhm.
you may have within you. Sometimes we watch movie and we cry and we alchemize certain feelings. So I always tell my actors people that it's like, don't go see yourself, oh, I'm just an actor. It's like, no, you are doing some powerful healing work for the collective. So
Mhm.
it's the same with others, to the main thing that I will see from Akashic record is to bring your own power back to you, to recognize your worth and go from there. And also know that life is not a straight line. And everything can have its own twists and turns, and just be able to be energy of whimsical, be energy of fun. And lastly, that I think is important is for everyone is to, we live in a society that's so goal oriented. So like you must focus on this one thing. But the thing is that there's a there's a there's a pro in it, I guess, if you want to focus on one thing and just zone in that. But within that, there's a problem in it too, is limit yourself to just, if it doesn't turn out this way, I'm a failure. What if you open to all possibility, open to all the things that would come in and allow universe to shift you to the energy that of the limitless, and it's not about aimlessness, it's about you leave the energy of trust that all will sort it out, because I believe in the universe and I also believe in the compass of my own heart. It doesn't mean that you cannot say no to the thing that coming your way, but open to all wonderful possibilities. And because we are live multidimensionally, we not only live this in many ways and think of shift and change ability to open to all the thing and shift in that way.
I'm just smiling because this speaks so much to me. Um, I just met you today, just like an hour ago, and I didn't do this my whole life. I've worked in finance, I have my degree in psychology, and I always felt so weird because I didn't feel like I was in like a niche, or like I could pick something that like this is Laura, this is what I want to do. And I just came to terms with the fact that I just like doing different things. And I'm a healer, I'm an astrologer, I have a podcast, I like creating content. And I finally just like released that to the universe. Like, why do I have to pick one thing?
Yeah, because the thing that I think is really, hopefully is will serve others. I myself I was a photo publicist for a movie studio and television show for 15 years and love it. Love it. Like, it was the goal in life. I'm gonna be the best photo editor and publicist there is. And I love it. I work on show like Breaking Bad. I work on show like Outlander, like,
Mhm.
show that
I love that show.
oh, I love Out.
I'm like, wait, I want to go to Scotland and meet my Jamie Fraser.
Saw him in person and he is as yummy as you can. Broad shoulder, tall.
And that accent.
Exactly. Oh, and so the one thing that I think is important is not occupation. It's not your job title. It's who you are as a soul. You can be a healer, an alchemizer in financial world. You can be a healer in the ashram. You can be a healer being a mother. That is like the one thing, like the one thing that we ought to focus on is like one thing that is like true and resonate to your soul, and you can take that anywhere. And all the things, and everyone that getting interested in exploring in all the things that you had accumulate in all of your life, like you in the finance, you in all these things, you can always combine it with your healing art. There are so many people like Laura that need help with their finances, to empower them to organize it so they can be using their gift even more expansively. You can even create a course that help people how to be, I mean, if you create a course, I'll take it, where finance, financial free, well, financial freedom is another conversation, but in terms of like um financial literacy for healer.
Mhm.
If you create that, I'll take it.
Mhm.
So in all the thing that we learn and accumulate in life is part of your evolution. It's never a mistake. We never veer toward the path that we're not supposed to. We are the one that judge it. We are the one that say like, oh, I waste all those time doing that thing. I waste all this time doing a thing. It's never a waste. It's only a waste if we think it is. So how you can make the best out of it. Like, to me, I love my career as a photo editor, and I love my career now as an Akashic record reader. And recently I had an opportunity. I got hired by a photographer who did photography for Marlboro for like during the 70 and 80, all of that. And he needed someone to archiving his life work. And they flew me out to Colorado. They do other things, and then I got to see his work. But beyond that, I get to talk to him, get to know him, and get to empower him and encourage him of how amazing his work is. We talk about photography, we talk about the behind the scene. So it can be so many things. So in all of the things that you do, is never a waste, and everything is always right on time. We are the one that's constantly judging it because we feel certain ideal self that we're creating, that we want to live up to that without appreciating who we are now and all the things that we had accumulated.
And even our ex-boyfriends. Just kidding.
Yes, and those are very important to all the to activate. Here's the thing. Oh, we can talk about it forever. Because I have this now that I'm 44 now, and I have come to see that we have this idea in the society that in order for relationship to quote unquote work out, you have to marry them, you have to have 2.5 kids, 2.5 dogs, 2.5 cars, and has to be a longevity thing for it to work out. You have to even them as a boyfriend and girlfriend for it to work out. In reality, all relationship that come in your life, it work out as it's supposed to be. The key is come down back to you. Are you gonna see is that, oh, it's a victim, he left me for somebody else? Or are you gonna see that, you know what, he evolved into his own journey. I am also going evolve in my own journey without him, but I'm still going. It's not you got left behind. You're still growing and changing. It's just our perspective. Not to say the pain and the hurt is not real, but our relationship, even though you're not end up with them or that is somehow sustainable long term, doesn't mean that there's no legitimacy in it. But if you see it as that is a waste, it will be a waste. If you see it as a way to draw your power from it, it can be. I had a relationship with I mean that didn't quite work out, but didn't quite quote unquote work out, didn't quite work out in kind of like the matrix term of working out. But it's activate certain power in me. With my relationship with one of my ex-boyfriend is activate the part of me in Spain where I was a powerful mystic, the one in the cave one. It was opening me up to that part of me. But that's when also I start Akashic Records. The relationship with my ex, like my ex-husband who was abusive, that also the part of me that I stood up to use my voice to bring the power back to me. You know, and a part of someone that I met in ancient Egyptian that activate the priestess part of me. So that's a gift in our relationship. Even the difficult one, actually the juiciest gift come for the most difficult relationship. Key is, are you gonna lay in a victim mentality, or are you gonna find a gift in it and step into what you know that you ought to do?
Did you see that movie Everything Everywhere All at Once? Yeah, I'm like, is this like, oh my God.
Look at my phone. Okay, for people that don't see this, I have a googly eye on the back.
What you're describing is literally that movie.
Yeah, that movie is brilliant.
It's brilliant. I was like sobbing the last 15 minutes with the mother and daughter scene. I was just like,
yeah, my best friend Jenny, but she really was shaking. She was about to it was really powerful.
It's like real life, like it's a documentary.
Yeah, real life, for sure. People that have Asian mom, we know. Why? It's just sometimes it's just never enough. Like either I'm too skinny or too fat or not fat enough. My it's so funny with my parents. They be like, don't have a boyfriend until you get to college. And then once I get older, say, where's my grandkid? I'm like, hey, it doesn't work that way, that it take bad things and evolve for the grandkids to come. So,
Yeah. So
so
I just have one last question. Where does manifestation and divine timing relate to all of this? Because I know you might have answered it throughout our conversation, like we have the potential to co-create our reality in the now. But how does that all work out with like timelines and divine timing?
I find that is a combination of you knowing your desire, and a lot of time in a lot of religions, and the structure that your desire is bad, your desire is sinful, your desire is greedy. It starts with your desire, that's your heart. Like in ancient Egypt, if you look at all the sculpture in ancient Egypt, it's always lead with your left foot, is to lead with your heart desire, what make you take what, like when you're a kid, you just do the thing that excites you, that's it exciting to you. And the timing is ability, a timing of yourself, the timing that you promise, connect with God, the timing that you connect with others, because in Akashic Record is a zone of choice that you only pick certain timeline to connect with someone, you pick certain timeline that you can connect with them. Ability to be able to be flexible, I guess, because sometimes we live in the society that like it must in my own time, if it doesn't happen now, failures and all this thing. It's ability to be nimble and trust that I always, the way that I put it, the way that someone told me to put it is like, have your heart desire, take an ally action when you can, but also put it on the shelf. Be able to like, okay, this is what I want, put it on the shelf and know that it's mine already, and it's gonna come to me in the time that everything align, that what I want, the person, the organization, the funding, all of this thing. Because if you have something that you really want and you want it now and you like focusing on it, you're squeezing on it will limit you from all the ingredient that needed for this to come about. So let's say that you're making a cake and you just have a bowl of flour. It's like it must become cake now. But what if you need water, you need vanilla, you need sugar, you need cream and all the thing, and those elements will come over time. And what ability that you try not to like focusing on the this and manifest flour into a cake. Sometimes it's need other elements and experiences, and in order for you to do that, for us to do that, the only way to do it is to live our life, is to go through life, go through emotion, go through different experiences for those ingredients to come in. And a lot of time people see manifestation like light a candle and Santa gonna bless you with it. Is we have to take action, align action, in order for things to manifest into the ingredient that needed, and connection you make with people, and ability to take risks and do things that doesn't quite make sense. Just like me taking a Akashic Record course would not really make sense per se, but it felt good in my heart and I did it. So, and you never know, it's just ability to stay curious, have fun. And that's how I feel that thing manifests faster when you're in the energy of that sacral chakra, the energy of fun, whimsical dance, than the energy of like, it need to fit in my Excel spreadsheet. So yeah. So align action from the heart and of openness to all possibilities.
I love that. That's a beautiful way to end. And people can have readings with you, right?
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
have reading together. The way I do reading is, you can ask question, all those things, but I also do some activation where I assist you to travel in connecting to your inner child, travel with your inner child into the zone of freedom, and do some healing around that, and travel, assist you to travel into the lifetime that you are very powerful. Traveling to the lifetime that maybe you still struggle, and help you healing you through in Akashic record, and bring that frequency of the heal energy into now time. So it's the whole experiential thing. It used to be just question answer, but over the time they just start asking me to do different things, and now it's become a combination of shamanistic experience and Akashic records.
Beautiful. Well, I will link all of your information in the show notes. Thank you so much. This was so fun and so interesting. I want to have you back on so I could ask you more questions.
It's still, I feel like for some reason I feel you before,
I mean,
obviously.
we might need to open up our records together and see where we knew each other.
Exactly. I love it so much. Thank you so much. Such an honor and a joy to be here.
Thank you.